Welcome to the 18-plus horror podcast. Stories too dark for the daylight. If you're brave enough, like and subscribe before it finds you.
The declassified documents read like something out of a nightmare. Subjects subjected to sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, and high doses of LSD. The official narrative paints MK Ultra as a Cold War experiment, a desperate attempt to develop mind control techniques for interrogation and espionage. But the deeper you dig, the more unsettling it becomes. The sheer scope of the program, the number of unwitting participants, the blatant disregard for human life, it chills you to the bone. We're talking about American citizens, unsuspecting individuals plucked from their lives and subjected to psychological torture in the name of national security. And that's just the official story. There are whispers, rumors of experiments that went far beyond interrogation techniques, delving into the realm of paranormal, of creating something other.
That's where it gets truly disturbing. The official narrative conveniently leaves out the failed experiments, the anomalous entities, the things that couldn't be explained. We're talking about reports of subjects developing inexplicable abilities, exhibiting signs of possession, or simply vanishing without a trace. There are documented cases of individuals experiencing complete personality fractures, developing multiple personalities, some exhibiting violent or self-destructive tendencies they never possessed before. And then there's the silence, the redacted files, the missing personnel. It's like trying to piece together a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing, and the pieces you do have are smeared with blood. What were they really trying to achieve? Was it simply mind control? Or were they trying to unlock something far more dangerous, something they couldn't control?
Look at the case of Frank Olson, a CIA scientist who supposedly fell to his death from a hotel window in 1953. Officially ruled a suicide, but later investigations revealed he had been unknowingly dosed with LSD just days before. Witnesses claim he was in a state of extreme paranoia and distress, talking about things he shouldn't have known. Was he silenced? Was he a threat to the program, or did he simply see too much? His death, like so many others connected to MK Ultra, remains shrouded in mystery, a chilling reminder of the lengths the government was willing to go to protect its secrets. And what about the rumors of subjects developing psychic abilities, of remote viewing experiments, of attempts to weaponize consciousness itself? These are not just conspiracy theories. They are documented aspects of the program, albeit heavily redacted and shrouded in secrecy. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than anyone wants to admit.
Exactly. And the program officially ended in 1973, but many believe it simply went underground, continuing under different names, different guises. The techniques perfected in MK Ultra, the psychological manipulation, the trauma-based conditioning, these are tools that could be easily adapted and applied in countless ways. Think about the implications. If they succeeded, even partially, in controlling the human mind, what else might they have achieved? And what are they capable of now? The thought is terrifying. We're not just talking about Cold War paranoia anymore. We're talking about the potential for a level of control that surpasses anything we can imagine. And the scariest part is, we may never know the full extent of the damage, the true horrors unleashed by MK Ultra. The truth, like the victims themselves, remains lost in the shadows.
We're deep in the vaults tonight, sifting through declassified documents, the kind that make your blood run cold. We're talking MK Ultra, the CIA's foray into mind control, a program so shrouded in secrecy, it feels like a ghost story itself. The official narrative paints a picture of Cold War paranoia, a desperate attempt to weaponize the human mind against Soviet threats. But the deeper you dig, the more unsettling the truth becomes. We're talking about unwitting subjects, often plucked from vulnerable populations. Prisoners, mental patients, even prostitutes, subjected to a cocktail of drugs, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation. The aim? To shatter the psyche, to create programmable assassins, human puppets dancing to the tune of their government handlers. But what happened when these experiments went too far? When the lines between science and the occult blurred? That's the territory we're charting tonight.
It's a descent into madness, really. Imagine a world where your thoughts, your memories, your very identity are no longer your own. That's the chilling reality MK Ultra presents. Beyond the documented experiments with LSD and electroshock therapy, whispers emerge of something far more sinister, accounts of subjects encountering entities, beings that defy explanation, lurking in the fragmented landscapes of their minds. These weren't just hallucinations brought on by psychoactive drugs. Witnesses, both subjects and researchers, described these entities with a chilling consistency, detailing their forms, their presence, their influence. It's as though the CIA, in their quest to control the mind, stumbled upon something far beyond their comprehension, something ancient and terrifying, something they couldn't control.
The official timeline ends in the early 1970s, with Project MKUltra supposedly shut down. Files were destroyed, evidence buried. But the echoes of these experiments reverberate to this day. We have the testimony of survivors, scarred by the trauma of their experiences, struggling to piece together fragmented memories of unspeakable horrors. And then there are the anomalies, the unexplained cases, the people who vanished without a trace, their lives intersecting with the program in ways we can only begin to understand. One chilling thread that emerges is the apparent connection between MKUltra and a surge in reports of strange phenomena. Disappearances near government facilities, sightings of unidentified objects, and whispers of individuals with inexplicable abilities, all coinciding with the peak of the program's activity.
Consider the case of Mary, a pseudonym we're using to protect her identity. She contacted us after years of silence, claiming to have been a subject in a late-stage MKUltra experiment. She spoke of sensory deprivation tanks, of strange whispers in the dark, and of a feeling of being watched, not by human eyes. Her descriptions align eerily with other accounts, painting a picture of a program spiraling into the unknown, crossing the line from mind control to something far more disturbing. Her memories are fragmented, distorted, but one image remains crystal clear: a shadowy figure present during the experiments, seemingly observing, manipulating. It's a recurring motif in these testimonies, a chilling reminder that the true extent of MKUltra may remain forever hidden in the shadows. And what were they hoping to achieve by pushing these boundaries? What did they unleash in their pursuit of the ultimate weapon?
We've established the CIA's interest in mind control, their experimentation with LSD, and the disturbing lack of oversight in these early stages of MKUltra. But where does the truly unsettling, the horrific, begin to creep in? Declassified documents hint at something beyond simple behavioral manipulation. Subjects began reporting experiences that defied the known effects of LSD. Vivid hallucinations, yes, but also something else. A sense of being watched, of an external presence influencing their thoughts, even directing their actions. These accounts were often dismissed as drug-induced psychosis, but the consistency across different subjects, different dosages, is troubling. Some spoke of shared hallucinations, seeing the same shadowy figures, experiencing the same inexplicable dread. And these weren't just anecdotal reports tucked away in dusty files. Some of these sessions were observed, documented by researchers who themselves began to express unease. What were they witnessing? Was this simply the unintended consequence of tampering with the human mind? Or was something far more sinister at play?
The official narrative, of course, attributes these anomalies to the unpredictable nature of psychedelic drugs and the vulnerable mental states of the subjects. But digging deeper into the testimonies, a pattern emerges that's difficult to ignore. Many subjects described a loss of personal agency, a feeling of being puppeteered by an unseen force. One declassified account details a subject who repeatedly drew the same symbol during different sessions, a symbol they claimed they'd never seen before and didn't understand. Another subject, a trained linguist, began speaking in a language they didn't recognize, a language that later analysis couldn't identify. These incidents, dismissed as psychotic episodes, hint at something beyond the scope of conventional psychology. They suggest a potential breach, a crossing of boundaries into something unknown, something perhaps other. And this is where the narrative of MKUltra takes a distinctly darker turn, a turn towards the truly unsettling.
The case of Harold Blower, a professional tennis player admitted to the New York Psychiatric Institute, offers a chilling glimpse into the potential consequences of these experiments. Officially, Blower was being treated for depression, Unofficially, he was a subject in MK-Ultra Subproject 68. Over the course of his treatment, he was unknowingly administered increasing doses of MDA, a potent psychedelic. His condition deteriorated rapidly. He became increasingly agitated, paranoid, reporting visions of shadowy figures and experiencing intense auditory hallucinations. His medical records, heavily redacted, reveal a growing sense of dread among the staff, a feeling that something had gone terribly wrong. Then, on January 8, 1953, Harold Blower died. The official cause of death was listed as a self-administered overdose. However, decades later, it was revealed he'd been injected with a massive dose of MDA against his will, a dose far exceeding any therapeutic amount. Was this a tragic accident, a consequence of reckless experimentation, or was it something more deliberate, a silencing of a witness to something the CIA desperately wanted to keep hidden?
Blower's case isn't isolated. Other deaths, other disappearances surrounding MKUltra remain shrouded in secrecy. The official narrative crumbles under the weight of inconsistencies and redacted documents. And it's within these gaps, these unanswered questions, that the true horror of MKUltra resides. It's not just the unethical experimentation, the blatant disregard for human life, but the unsettling possibility that these experiments unearthed something they couldn't control, something that reached back, something that whispers in the shadows of declassified files, hinting at a darkness that goes beyond the realm of conventional understanding. We're talking about the potential unleashing of something anomalous.
We've talked about the official narrative surrounding MKUltra, the behavior modification, the interrogation techniques, the search for a truth serum. But what happens when these experiments bleed into the realm of the anomalous? There are whispered accounts, buried deep within declassified documents, of projects that strayed far from conventional science. Projects that delved into sensory deprivation, psychic driving, and even attempts to weaponize paranormal abilities. Subjects reported encountering strange entities, experiencing vivid hallucinations that defied explanation, and developing inexplicable powers. These weren't just side effects of LSD or other drugs. These were events that shook the researchers themselves, hinting at something far more unsettling than mind control. The line between scientific exploration and a descent into the unknown blurred, and the results were, to put it mildly, terrifying. We're talking about potential breaches in reality, the unleashing of forces beyond our comprehension. And the most disturbing part? Much of this remains classified, locked away from public scrutiny. What were they so afraid of revealing?
Exactly. The official story, as presented by the Church Committee and the few declassified documents, paints a disturbing enough picture. But it feels incomplete, sanitized. It's like looking at a heavily redacted photograph, where the most crucial details have been obscured. Take the case of experiments involving remote viewing, for example. The idea that individuals could perceive distant locations and events through extrasensory means. While seemingly outlandish, the CIA invested significant resources into this research. Some accounts suggest successful trials, with subjects accurately describing targets thousands of miles away. But what if these weren't just glimpses of distant places? What if these experiments inadvertently opened a door to something else entirely? A dimension beyond our own, populated by entities that we are ill-equipped to understand, let alone control? The implications are staggering and far more horrifying than any truth serum.
And the documented psychological breakdowns, the suicides, the unexplained deaths surrounding MKUltra subjects. Can we simply attribute them all to drug-induced psychosis? Or is there something darker at play? Consider the recurring motif of subjects reporting a sense of being watched, of an external presence influencing their thoughts and actions. This wasn't just paranoia. These were consistent reports from individuals across different experiments, different locations, different substances. It's as if the very act of tampering with the human mind, of pushing it beyond its natural limits, attracted something other. Something that fed on the fractured psyche, that thrived in the chaos of broken consciousness. We have to ask ourselves, were these researchers simply manipulating the mind, or were they unwittingly opening a gateway to something far more sinister?
The deeper you delve into the declassified documents, the more you encounter this unsettling sense of the unknown. Fragments of information, cryptic references to anomalous events, redacted passages that hint at something truly disturbing. Take, for instance, The rumored experiments involving sensory deprivation tanks combined with powerful hallucinogens. Subjects reported not just visual and auditory hallucinations, but tactile ones as well. The sensation of being touched, of unseen hands manipulating their bodies, of entities whispering in their ears words that defied translation. These weren't the typical drug-induced hallucinations. They possessed a disturbingly consistent and objective quality. It's almost as if these experiments were inadvertently creating a bridge between our reality and something else. Something that lurks just beyond the veil of perception, waiting for an opportunity to cross over.
The official narrative surrounding MKUltra paints a disturbing picture of unethical human experimentation. But it's when you delve into the declassified documents, the redacted testimonies, and the whispered accounts of the victims that the true horror begins to surface. Subjects weren't just given LSD, they were subjected to sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, and psychological torture designed to shatter their personalities and rebuild them as programmable assets. The aim, as far as we can discern from the fragmented records, was to create the perfect spy, the ultimate assassin, a human being stripped of their free will and utterly subservient to the agency's commands. But there are hints buried within these accounts of something far stranger, something that transcends the realm of conventional mind control. Reports of subjects developing inexplicable abilities, exhibiting signs of telepathy, or demonstrating knowledge they couldn't possibly possess. It's as though the experiments, in their brutal probing of the human psyche, inadvertently opened a door to something else, something other.
The documented cases of individuals like Ken Kesey and Robert Hunter, both of whom volunteered for MKUltra experiments while at Stanford, offer a glimpse into this unsettling territory. While their experiences with LSD are well documented, there are less discussed anecdotes that border on the paranormal. Hunter, in particular, recounted incidents of precognitive dreams and shared hallucinations with other subjects, phenomena that couldn't be easily explained by the effects of the drugs alone. Then there's the case of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, whose participation in MKUltra experiments at Harvard is often cited as a potential contributing factor to his later descent into madness and violence. While the connection remains speculative, it raises chilling questions about the long-term psychological and perhaps even metaphysical impact of these experiments. Could the agency's attempts to control the mind have unleashed something uncontrollable?
And that's where the truly terrifying implications of MKUltra begin to take shape. If these experiments were not just about manipulating the mind, but inadvertently tapping into something beyond our understanding, then the consequences are far more profound than we can imagine. Consider the testimonies of some subjects who claim to have encountered entities, not hallucinations induced by drugs, but something real, something malevolent, during these experiments. These accounts, often dismissed as psychotic episodes, take on a new and disturbing significance when viewed through the lens of potential interdimensional breaches. Could the agency, in their reckless pursuit of control, have ripped a hole in the fabric of reality, allowing something else to seep through?
The documented instances of subjects exhibiting sudden and inexplicable changes in personality, coupled with the unexplained disappearances of some participants, only deepen the mystery. Were these individuals simply driven to madness? Or were they somehow altered, replaced by something that mimicked human form but was fundamentally different? The lack of concrete answers, the deliberate obfuscation by the CIA, and the sheer strangeness of the documented phenomena create a chilling narrative. It's a narrative that suggests that the true horror of MKUltra may not lie in the known, but in the vast unknown it may have unleashed upon us.
The declassified documents, while heavily redacted, paint a chilling picture. They speak of subjects driven to the brink of madness, fractured personalities, induced amnesia, and attempts to program individuals like living machines. The official narrative, of course, frames MKUltra as a Cold War relic, a misguided attempt to develop truth serums and mind control techniques for espionage. But the sheer scale of the project, the clandestine nature of its operations, and the whispers of experiments extending far beyond conventional interrogation methods suggest something far more sinister. We're talking about sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, psychoactive drugs administered without consent, and hypnotic suggestion pushed to the absolute limits of human endurance. And that's just what they admit to. The deeper you dig, the more unsettling the truth becomes. There are accounts of subjects developing inexplicable abilities, exhibiting paranormal phenomena, even encountering entities.
Entities? You're venturing into the realm of the truly bizarre. Are we talking hallucinations brought on by the experimental procedures? Or something else? The documented cases of individuals experiencing profound psychological trauma, developing severe mental illnesses as a direct result of these experiments, are horrific enough. To then layer on claims of paranormal activity risks discrediting the very real horrors inflicted upon these victims. However, I've encountered enough credible witnesses, individuals involved in the program either as researchers or subjects, who swear to the existence of something beyond our understanding. They describe a blurring of realities, a sense of being manipulated by unseen forces, of encountering beings that defy rational explanation. These accounts, while disturbing, can't simply be dismissed.
Dismissing them is easy. Explaining them, that's the challenge. One recurring theme in these anomalous reports is the emergence of shared hallucinations, identical experiences recounted by multiple subjects despite being isolated from one another. The official explanation points towards the effects of powerful hallucinogens, synchronized responses to shared stimuli, but some researchers propose a more disturbing hypothesis, that MK-Ultra inadvertently opened a doorway, breached a barrier between our reality and something other. Think about it. The relentless assault on the human psyche, the deliberate fracturing of consciousness, the constant probing of the subconscious. Perhaps they stumbled upon a way to tap into a realm beyond our comprehension, a realm inhabited by entities that were then able to infiltrate the minds of these vulnerable subjects.
The idea of a government program unintentionally unleashing something beyond human control is terrifying. And what's even more unsettling is the possibility that these experiments weren't just about controlling the human mind, but about weaponizing it, perhaps even weaponizing these entities. Imagine soldiers imbued with extraordinary abilities, capable of manipulating the very fabric of reality. Or worse, imagine these entities gaining a foothold in our world, influencing events, shaping our perceptions, manipulating us for their own unknown purposes. The implications are staggering. We're talking about a potential threat that transcends conventional warfare, a threat that exists on a plane beyond our current understanding. And if these accounts are to be believed, that threat may already be among us.
So we've meticulously laid out the documented horrors of MK-Ultra, the LSD, the electroshock, the psychological torture, all aimed at shattering and rebuilding the human psyche. But what if the program stumbled onto something else, something beyond simple mind control? There are whispered accounts buried deep within declassified files of experiments pushing the boundaries of what we understand about consciousness. Subjects experiencing not just altered mental states, but shifts in reality. One document, heavily redacted of course, refers to an experiment involving sensory deprivation and high-dosage psychedelics. The subject reportedly began describing entities, beings outside of our conventional understanding of reality, influencing their thoughts, their perceptions. The document ends abruptly, mid-sentence. The subject's fate? Unknown. Was this a psychotic break, a side effect of the drugs, or something far more sinister?
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? That in their pursuit of control, the CIA might have inadvertently opened a door to something they couldn't comprehend, let alone control. We've focused on the human cost of MK-Ultra, the victims whose lives were irrevocably damaged by these experiments. But what if there were other casualties? Casualties that exist outside the realm of human understanding. These fragmented reports, these whispers of anomalous entities, suggest a terrifying possibility that the true horror of MK-Ultra isn't just the violation of the human mind, but the potential unleashing of something far more ancient, far more malevolent, something that preys not on the body, but on the very fabric of reality itself. We have to consider, however disturbing, that the pursuit of control might have led to a profound loss of it. A loss that extends beyond the individual, and perhaps beyond our comprehension.
The official narrative, of course, is that these were simply the ramblings of drug-addled minds, the hallucinations of broken individuals. But the consistency of these reports, the recurring motifs of unseen entities and altered realities, suggest something more. Consider the case of one subject, identified only as Subject 87. After a series of intense experiments involving sensory deprivation and a cocktail of unknown substances, Subject 87 began exhibiting signs of profound psychological distress. He spoke of being trapped in a reality not his own, manipulated by beings he could perceive but not interact with. He described these beings as existing, quote, outside of time, influencing events from a dimension beyond our own. Then, one morning, Subject 87 vanished from his cell. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, just gone.
And so we're left with these fragments, these unsettling pieces of a puzzle we may never fully assemble. The official story is neat, tidy, and dismissive. A simple case of psychosis, a convenient disappearance. But the whispers persist. The whispers of something lurking just beyond the veil. Something glimpsed in the fractured minds of those subjected to the horrors of MKUltra. Did the program's architects stumble upon a hidden reality? Did they inadvertently open a door to something they couldn't control? Or are these stories, these chilling accounts, nothing more than the product of damaged minds, grasping for explanations in the face of unimaginable trauma? The truth, like the subjects of these experiments, remains lost in the shadows. Perhaps lost forever.
So we've spent the last 7 episodes meticulously dissecting MKUltra, sifting through declassified documents, survivor testimonies, and the whispers of what remains hidden. We've explored the documented horrors, the deliberate shattering of minds through drugs, hypnosis, and psychological torture. But what chills me to the bone, what keeps me awake long after the research is done, are the anomalies. The stories that skirt the edges of the official narrative, the hints of something far stranger than even the CIA's documented depravity. The failed experiments, the ones where the subject didn't just break, but changed, became something else, something not entirely human. These are the whispers we hear in the dead of night, the shadows that flicker just beyond our perception, the entities created, not controlled.
It's a terrifying thought. We can try to rationalize the documented horrors of MKUltra, compartmentalize them as the product of Cold War paranoia and a reckless pursuit of control. But these anomalies, these defy easy explanation. We hear stories of subjects exhibiting abilities beyond the realm of the known, displaying preternatural strength, telepathic tendencies, or a complete dissociation from their former selves, replaced by something other. Were these simply extreme psychological reactions to the trauma inflicted upon them? Or did the CIA, in their hubris, stumble upon something they couldn't comprehend? Something that lurked in the dark recesses of the human mind, waiting to be unleashed? It's a question that haunts the fringes of this already disturbing history, a question we may never truly answer.
And that's precisely the unsettling note on which we end this exploration of MKUltra. The official narrative, horrific as it is only part of the story. The true extent of the program, the true consequences of tampering with the very fabric of human consciousness, may remain forever shrouded in secrecy. But the anomalies, the whispers, the unanswered questions, those are the things that truly disturb. They suggest that some doors, once opened, can never be truly closed. Some things, once unleashed, can never be put back in the box.
We've only scratched the surface of this dark chapter in history. As we conclude this series on MKUltra, I urge you, our listeners, to delve deeper, to seek out the unanswered questions, to listen to the whispers in the dark. But be warned, some truths are best left undisturbed, some doors are better left unopened. For what lurks beyond the veil of our perceived reality may be more terrifying than we can ever imagine. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, remember, they may still be out there.
That was this week's dive into darkness. Subscribe to the 18+ Horror Podcast and come back if you can sleep again.
You've been listening to Whispers After Midnight. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.